Let us begin by delving into the life of Ava Grace Baldwin, a young girl whose disappearance has left an indelible mark on her family and the broader community, highlighting the complexities of familial relationships and the vulnerabilities that can arise within them. Born on April 16, 2009, in the United States, Ava was a vibrant 6-year-old when she vanished from San Antonio, Texas, a bustling city renowned for its rich cultural heritage, historic landmarks such as the Alamo, and a diverse population that includes strong family-oriented communities where children often participate in various extracurricular activities to foster their growth and social skills. During the year 2015, which marked the time of her disappearance, Ava was actively involved in cheerleading, soccer, gymnastics, and tumbling, pursuits that not only showcased her energetic personality, but also reflected the typical joys of childhood in a supportive environment where she could explore her interests and build friendships with peers who shared similar passions. With her blonde hair, hazel eyes, a height of approximately 4 feet, and a weight around 60 pounds, she possessed a distinctive appearance that included the possibility of a missing tooth on the top right side of her mouth, a small detail that has been emphasized in efforts to identify her over the years. Ava's personal life was deeply intertwined with her family dynamics, which unfortunately became fraught with challenges that would ultimately contribute to the circumstances surrounding her absence. Her father, David Hopper, resided in central Oklahoma, a location roughly 7 hours away from San Antonio, and he worked diligently to maintain a presence in her life despite the geographical distance that often complicated their interactions. David, who has been described by those close to him as a devoted parent committed to providing stability and love, met Ava's mother, Catherine and Baldwin, also known as Katie, at a recovery group called Celebrate Recovery, an organization designed to help individuals overcome various personal struggles through faith-based support and community building. Their relationship progressed quickly, leading to a marriage that lasted only 34 days before they decided to separate, a decision that set the stage for future complications when Catherine discovered she was pregnant during the divorce proceedings. Initially, Catherine claimed that David was not the father, but a court-ordered DNA test confirmed his paternity, thus initiating a long and arduous custody battle that would span multiple states and involve significant emotional and financial investment from both sides. Catherine, born on January 3, 1975, was 40 years old at the time of Ava's disappearance, standing at 5 feet 2 inches tall with a weight between 105 and 120 pounds, blonde hair, hazel eyes, and a notable large tattoo of a rose on her abdomen and hip area. Her life was marked by a history of alcohol and prescription drug abuse, as well as mental health challenges that required ongoing medication, though records indicate she ceased refilling her prescriptions after 2015, raising concerns about her well-being and ability to care for a child in potentially unstable conditions. After the separation, Catherine relocated to San Antonio with Ava, establishing a life there that included enrolling her daughter in a private elementary school and navigating various living situations, sometimes involving women's shelters or homeless facilities due to her transient lifestyle. David, on the other hand, remained in Oklahoma, where he would make lengthy drives to visit Ava during designated times such as summers and holidays, cherishing moments like taking her swimming and witnessing her delight upon realizing the extent of her family network on his side. The relationships within this family were complex and often strained, with no outright indications of physical harm, but rather a series of emotional and legal tensions that escalated over time. David and Catherine's brief marriage and subsequent divorce created an undercurrent of mistrust, particularly when Catherine initially denied his paternity, a claim that was debunked through scientific evidence and led to joint custody arrangements that allowed David partial access to Ava. Descriptions from David portray Ava as the light of every gathering, a loving and pleasant child who brought joy to those around her. Yet he harbored growing worries about Catherine's stability, especially after incidents that prompted involvement from Child Protective Services. One such event involved a concerning video that depicted Catherine engaging in inappropriate behavior while Ava was present in the same room, an occurrence that heightened David's fears for his daughter's safety and prompted him to seek full custody through legal channels. investing over $45,000 in attorney fees and related expenses to ensure what he believed was the best environment for Ava's upbringing. Conflicts and warning signs were evident in the lead-up to the disappearance, as Catherine's pattern of frequent moves and occasional periods of incommunicado behavior suggested a tendency to evade responsibilities or confrontations, behaviors that David and his sister, Tina Fulbright, noted as red flags during their efforts to maintain contact. Catherine would sometimes disappear for days without responding to calls or messages, and on one occasion, David's sister located her through social media platforms to re-establish communication and facilitate visitation. Furthermore, Catherine's family background included relatives scattered across states like Texas, Oklahoma, California, Florida, and Illinois, as well as friends in various parts of the country, which potentially provided her with a network that could offer support or concealment if needed. David perceived Catherine as someone who might fabricate stories, such as claiming to be stalked, to elicit sympathy from others, a tactic that could have masked deeper issues within her personal life. But believe me, amidst these challenges, there were no overt signs of imminent danger that could have predicted the full extent of what was to come, as the family appeared to function within the bounds of a contentious but manageable co-parenting arrangement. The scene in 2015 San Antonio was one of everyday normalcy for many residents, with neighborhoods featuring schools, parks, and community centers where children like Ava could thrive. Yet the underlying custody dispute introduced an element of uncertainty that simmered beneath the surface. Ava attended her private school regularly until the abrupt change, and photographs from that period capture her smiling and engaged, a testament to the innocence of her youth contrasted against the adult conflicts swirling around her. David's commitment remained unwavering, as he sought to be the father figure Ava deserved, writing letters to her that he shares online in hopes of one day reconnecting. Guess what? This background illustrates how seemingly ordinary family disputes can escalate into profound mysteries that captivate public attention and underscore the importance of vigilance in child welfare matters. The time context of the mid-2010s was characterized by the rising influence of social media, which would later play a pivotal role in disseminating information about missing children and generating leads through widespread sharing. San Antonio, with its resources for law enforcement and community support, provided a backdrop where such cases could be addressed, but the nature of family abductions often renders them elusive, as they do not always involve strangers, but rather trusted individuals who blend into society. In retrospect, the distance between the parents, combined with Catherine's unstable patterns, created vulnerabilities that were not fully mitigated by the legal system in place. Here's the interesting part. Despite the tensions, moments of familial love persisted, with David preserving memories through photos and online tributes that keep Ava's story alive and emphasize the human element behind the headlines. This foundation not only sets the stage for understanding the disappearance, but also highlights the broader societal implications of custody battles and the need for effective interventions to protect children caught in the crossfire. Turning our attention to the pivotal day of September 17, 2015, when Ava Grace Baldwin's absence was officially reported, we find a sequence of events that unfolded in San Antonio, Texas, transforming a routine school matter into a nationwide search effort that has persisted for over a decade. On that day, Ava's activities prior to her disappearance appeared unremarkable, as she had been enrolled in a private elementary school where she participated in classes and interacted with teachers and classmates. But her attendance suddenly ceased without any prior notification to the school administration or her father, leading to growing concern among those responsible for her education. The principal, noticing that Ava had not appeared for nearly 3 weeks, a total of 21 days, reached out to David Hopper in Oklahoma, informing him of the unexplained absence and prompting him to investigate further, as the address provided on the school forms turned out to be an empty lot, a discrepancy that immediately raised alarms about the whereabouts of both Ava and her mother, Catherine Baldwin. David, upon receiving this distressing news, attempted multiple times to contact Catherine, but his efforts were met with silence, as there was no response to calls or messages, which intensified his worry given their history of custody disputes and her occasional unavailability. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, he promptly filed a missing persons report with the San Antonio Police Department, marking the official discovery of Ava's disappearance and initiating a chain of investigative actions aimed at locating the child and ensuring her safety. The police classified the case as a potential family abduction from the outset, suspecting that Catherine had taken Ava to avoid the impending custody hearing where David was seeking full guardianship, a move that aligned with patterns observed in similar cases where one parent relocates to evade legal obligations. In the initial phases of the police work, officers conducted thorough interviews with David, his family members, and any known associates of Catherine, gathering detailed information about her background, including her history of substance abuse, mental health issues, and tendency to frequent shelters, which helped shape the direction of the search. They examined the last known address on the 6,000 block of Whitby Road, confirming it was indeed an unoccupied lot, and expanded their efforts to check nearby areas, borders, and airports, alerting authorities to be on the lookout for Catherine and Ava, as well as her vehicle, a silver 2014 Ford Escape bearing Illinois license plate Q29-2793. Evidence collected during these early steps was primarily circumstantial, with no signs of forced entry or physical struggle at any potential scene, but the absence itself, coupled with Catherine's outstanding felony warrant for interfering with child custody, provided a strong foundation for the abduction theory. But believe me, the challenges in those first days were significant, as San Antonio's vast urban landscape and the possibility of interstate travel complicated the immediate response, yet the police remained committed to pursuing every lead. The scene details revealed a residential area typical of suburban Texas, with homes and lots that offered little in terms of forensic clues, and Ava's condition was presumed to be stable but endangered due to the uncertainties surrounding Catherine's ability to provide consistent care without her medications. Findings from the initial investigation pointed to Catherine's motive as fear of losing custody, especially after David's petition highlighted concerns from Child Protective Services, including the aforementioned video incident that had previously drawn official scrutiny. The aftermath of the report rippled through the family and community, leaving David in a state of profound devastation as he described feeling like his world had come to a halt, prompting him and his sister Tina Fulbright to organize searches and create a dedicated Facebook group for sharing updates and letters to Ava. Media outlets quickly picked up the story, with local news in Texas and Oklahoma providing coverage that expanded to national platforms like Fox News and NewsNation, amplifying the call for information and generating tips from the public, some of which suggested sightings in Texas, but ultimately proved unverified. The community rallied with vigils, poster distributions, and social media campaigns, fostering a sense of collective responsibility to bring Ava home safely. Guess what? This surge in attention also led to collaborations with organizations such as the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which assisted in creating age-progressed images and disseminating flyers nationwide, emphasizing Ava's distinctive features to aid identification. Family reactions were mixed, with Catherine's relatives claiming no contact since 2015 and expressing beliefs that both might be deceased, a perspective David firmly rejected, insisting they were alive and possibly receiving aid from Catherine's network of friends and family across multiple states. Media portrayal balanced sympathy for the family's plight with scrutiny of the custody battle, while community groups like Search and Support San Antonio offered resources and emotional support to those involved. Police continued their diligent efforts by documenting Catherine's aliases, including Katie Moore, and monitoring phone records, which showed no activity post-disappearance, further supporting the notion of intentional concealment. The broader community response included billboards featuring Ava's image, particularly during awareness events like National Missing Children's Day, which helped sustain public interest and encourage ongoing tips. Here's the interesting part. Social media emerged as a double-edged sword in this phase, facilitating rapid information sharing, but also spawning false leads that diverted resources. Yet it underscored the evolving role of digital platforms in modern investigations. The family's public endurance of pain, with David composing heartfelt letters online, humanized the case and inspired others facing similar ordeals to persist in their searches. This initial period established the framework for a prolonged investigation, shifting from everyday life to a coordinated effort filled with hope and determination, despite the hurdles posed by time and distance. As the years progressed following Ava Grace Baldwin's disappearance, the case, which had initially seemed mired in stagnation due to the lack of concrete leads, experienced several turning points that revitalized investigative efforts and brought renewed hope to her father and supporters. One significant development occurred in April 2016, when authorities located Catherine Baldwin's abandoned silver 2014 Ford Escape in a parking lot on Whitby Road in San Antonio, 7 months after the pair vanished. A discovery that suggested a deliberate attempt to evade detection and prompted forensic examinations of the vehicle for any traces that might indicate their direction or condition. Although the car yielded no immediate groundbreaking evidence such as blood or personal items linking to foul play, it ruled out scenarios involving accidents and reinforced the theory of a planned relocation, encouraging police to broaden their search parameters to include states where Catherine had known connections. Another pivotal moment arose from reported sightings that, while not always confirmed, injected momentum into the probe, including a 2016 account from a couple in Florida who claimed Catherine approached them about transferring custody of Ava, an interaction that hinted at her ongoing presence and potential desperation, but ultimately did not lead to a direct recovery. By 2020, additional tips surfaced suggesting Catherine was seen alone in various locations, prompting reevaluations of her network and possible separations from Ava, though these remained speculative without substantiation. But believe me, the most substantial surge in attention came in 2022, when online communities on platforms like TikTok speculated that Ava and Catherine resembled a popular mother-daughter duo known as Bebop and BB, whose videos garnered millions of views and sparked viral discussions that, although debunked by David after thorough checks, significantly amplified public awareness and generated a fresh wave of tips from concerned viewers across the country. Advancements in technology played a crucial role in these breakthroughs, with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children employing sophisticated age progression software to update Ava's image, depicting her as she might appear at ages like 15 in 2024 and further refinements in April 2025. Images that were widely circulated to reflect her potential teenage appearance and aid in recognition amid changing physical features. The investigation involved meticulous re-interviews of family members, where David's relatives provided extensive court records and personal anecdotes, while Catherine's kin maintained their stance of no contact since 2015, occasionally revealing inconsistencies that warranted further scrutiny, such as varying accounts of her last known communications. Forensic efforts focused on digital and biological evidence, with police maintaining Ava's DNA profile in databases for matching against unidentified remains or other cases, though fortunately no such connections have materialized, preserving the hope that she remains alive. Phone records were revisited multiple times, confirming the cessation of activity in 2015, which aligned with patterns of someone going underground, and social media monitoring extended to outdated platforms like MySpace, where Catherine had previously been active, searching for any dormant accounts or similar profiles that might indicate her online presence under aliases. Evidence linking Catherine to the abduction included the timing of their disappearance coinciding with David's full custody petition, the abandoned vehicle, and the absence of prescription refills, all pointing to a motive rooted in fear of legal consequences and loss of parental rights. Re-interviews uncovered discrepancies in alibis and statements from associates, with some suggesting Catherine might have sought refuge in women's shelters or with distant relatives, prompting nationwide alerts to such facilities. Guess what? International cooperation expanded as the case gained traction, with the FBI assisting in cross-state coordination and media appearances by David on shows like Crime Stories with Nancy Grace in July 2025, which elicited more public input and highlighted the enduring nature of the search. Cold case units within the San Antonio Police Department periodically reviewed files, integrating new tools like AI-driven facial recognition to compare age-progressed images against public databases and social media uploads. Here's the interesting part: the 2022 viral TikTok phenomenon, despite being a false lead, demonstrated the power of crowdsourcing in modern investigations, as it not only boosted visibility, but also encouraged armchair detectives to submit tips that, while varied in quality, occasionally provided valuable insights into potential locations. Details from these efforts included checking Catherine's ties to multiple states, with focused searches in areas like Chicago, Illinois, where the vehicle's plates originated, and exploring her history of using churches and missions for support. Forensic analysis of the abandoned car confirmed no signs of violence, supporting the nonviolent abduction narrative, and the emphasis on Catherine as the primary suspect stemmed from her warrant and behavioral patterns, with no indications of third-party involvement. This breakthrough era transitioned the case from dormant to dynamically active, leveraging technology, media, and community engagement to sustain the pursuit of answers. The legal proceedings in the case of Ava Grace Baldwin's disappearance commenced shortly after the report was filed, with the San Antonio Police Department issuing a felony warrant for Catherine Baldwin on charges of interference with child custody, a step that formalized her status as a suspect and enabled law enforcement agencies across jurisdictions to pursue her arrest if she were located. David Hopper, driven by his concern for Ava's well-being, intensified his efforts in the family court system, where he had already been engaged in a custody battle and successfully petitioned for full custody in July 2017, 2 years after the disappearance, a ruling that affirmed his parental rights but held limited practical impact given the ongoing absence of his daughter. The process entailed multiple hearings where David presented evidence of Catherine's instability, including documentation from Child Protective Services regarding the video incident and her history of substance abuse and mental health challenges, factors that the judge considered in determining the best interests of the child despite the inability to enforce the decision immediately. Motive, as established through evidentiary reviews, centered on Catherine's apprehension about losing Ava amid the escalating custody dispute, particularly after David's request highlighted risks to the child's safety, leading her to abscond rather than face potential court-ordered restrictions or removal. Although no grand jury was explicitly convened for indictment in the public records, the warrant served as the functional equivalent, allowing for extradition and prosecution upon capture, with police coordinating with federal entities to monitor for any interstate movements that could trigger action. In the absence of Catherine's apprehension, no formal trial has taken place, but hypothetical legal arguments have been discussed in media analyses, where prosecutors would likely emphasize the premeditated nature of the abduction, supported by the abandoned vehicle and lack of contact, while a defense might counter with claims of protective intent or mitigating circumstances related to Catherine's mental health. Challenges in this unresolved legal landscape include the passage of time, which can erode witness memories and complicate the admissibility of older evidence, as well as gaps such as the lack of direct eyewitness accounts to the moment of departure or video surveillance capturing their exit. But believe me, the persistence of the warrant keeps the case viable, with ongoing appeals for public assistance underscoring the commitment to resolution. Cross-jurisdictional issues add layers of complexity, as Catherine's potential presence in states like Florida or Illinois would necessitate coordination for extradition, ensuring that any arrest leads to swift proceedings. Guess what? While no indictment has been secured, the legal framework supports future action, with David's custody order providing a foundation for immediate reunification if Ava is found. Evidence gaps, including the absence of forensic ties beyond circumstantial details, pose hurdles, but the motive's clarity strengthens the prosecutorial stance. Here's the interesting part. This open-ended legal process exemplifies the intricacies of family abduction cases, where emotional motives intersect with criminal statutes, demanding nuanced approaches to achieve justice. As of the current status in 2025, no verdict has been rendered in Ava Grace Baldwin's case, which continues to be classified as an active missing persons investigation, with Catherine Baldwin remaining at large under an outstanding warrant, leaving the family in a state of prolonged uncertainty that underscores the challenges of unresolved abductions. The evidence accumulated over the years, including reported sightings, the abandoned vehicle, and digital traces, has been instrumental in maintaining the focus on a non-custodial parental abduction theory, though defense perspectives in any future trial might contest the reliability of unverified tips or argue contextual factors influencing Catherine's actions. Without an arrest, sentencing remains hypothetical, and appeals processes have not yet commenced, but the case's longevity highlights the need for sustained vigilance. The aftermath has profoundly affected the family, with David Hopper gaining full custody in 2017, yet enduring the emotional toll of separation, channeling his grief into public advocacy through letters posted online that express his unwavering love and hope for reunion. Reflections on the role of forensics and cold case units reveal their critical function in keeping investigations alive through periodic reviews and technological updates, such as age-progressed imagery that adapts to time's passage. Family members find partial solace in community support and media exposure, but true closure eludes them, fostering resilience amid ongoing pain. The broader impact extends to heightened awareness of family abductions, prompting discussions on preventive measures in custody disputes and inspiring legislative considerations for enhanced child protection protocols. But believe me, this case serves as a poignant reminder of the hidden struggles many families face, encouraging empathy and action. Guess what? Viral moments like the 2022 TikTok speculation, though disproven, have galvanized public involvement, leading to increased reports and demonstrating social media's potential in aiding searches.